So this is the actual timeline for losing weight. There are 4 phases, and I'm going to walk you through exactly what happens at each one, because knowing what's coming is the difference between actually following through and finishing it and just ending up back at square one. Think about learning to drive. You want to pass as soon as possible. Obviously, everyone does. But when you start, you know that it's going to take months. You need enough lessons to actually feel confident behind the wheel. You've got the theory test to do, and then there's the wait list for the practical test itself when you are ready. Sometimes that alone is 2 or 3 months away, but you don't fight that. You just get on with it. You book the lessons, you show up, you trust that the process is going to work and it's going to get you there. Just keep that in mind. So the honest timeline for losing weight as a chef, the real answer is it depends. And I know that's not a very satisfying answer, but it is the truth. It depends on where you're starting from. It depends on your end goal, and it depends whether you've tried before or not. If it's your first proper attempt and you've never really tried to diet, never followed a structured plan, it's probably going to be a little bit easier. Your body hasn't really adapted to anything yet. There's no history of stop-starting to unpick. But if you've tried before and nothing's really stuck, you've had a few attempts, maybe made a little bit of progress, then back to square one, then it's going to take a little bit longer. It's not going to be harder, just slower. Either way, here's what you can actually expect. Phase 1 is the grind. And this is where most of the chefs that I work with start from. They've usually got some bad habits that we need to sort out before fat loss can even begin. And the biggest one, surprisingly enough, is not eating. You know how it goes. You go the entire shift without a proper meal. Maybe you pick at some bits during service. You get home at midnight, you're starving, you eat whatever's available, whatever's in the fridge, then you repeat that the next day. But here's the problem with that. Your body's running on empty so long that it basically goes into survival mode. It's like low battery mode, when your phone's on 3% and it starts shutting basically everything down so it can last as long as possible. And your body does the same thing. It's not going to start burning fat when it barely has enough energy for daily life. It's just holding on to everything it's got. So the frustrating truth is, before we can even think about fat loss, we need to fix that. Get some structure around eating, get out of that low battery mode, and then we can start doing the actual work. This is your first few driving lessons, where literally everything is happening at once. You're thinking about the clutch, you're trying not to stall, you're checking your mirrors, you're trying to be spatially aware, you're looking at the road. It's pretty overwhelming. And you finish those lessons feeling absolutely frazzled, thinking that you're not getting any better at it. But you are getting better at it. The foundations are going in, you just can't see it yet. So don't expect the scale to move much in phase 1, but the progress is happening in the background before you can see it. And how long this phase actually lasts is going to vary person to person. Some guys I work with move through it in about a week or 2. Others, it takes a bit longer, but don't panic if it does take a few weeks. And once some of those habits are in place, once your body's actually fueled and the routine is starting to take shape around your shifts, that's when things start to click. And that's phase 2. This is where the progress really starts to feel real and it becomes pretty visible at this point. Your energy's better. Your clothes are fitting differently. People at work are starting to notice, maybe even say something about it. The scale's moving, and at this point you can lose anywhere from 5 to 10 kilos in about 8 weeks. That's the benchmark, and that's what I see consistently with my clients once we're through with phase 1. And this is where your driving instructor starts to become a bit more relaxed. Their hands aren't hovering over the wheel anymore. They're fairly comfortable letting you just drive, and they'll step in if they absolutely need to. You're in control, they're just there in the passenger seat. And for a while, everything's going pretty well. But at some point, almost everyone hits phase 3. This is the deciding phase, and it doesn't hit you all at once, it's gradual. Progress starts to slow down a little bit, the scale stops moving the way that it has been. You're doing the same things that have been working for you the whole time, they're just not hitting in the same way. And here's why. As you lose weight, your body essentially is getting smaller. And a smaller body burns fewer calories than a bigger body in just day-to-day life. So the calorie deficit that was working 3 months ago, the one that had the scale dropping pretty consistently, that isn't as effective now. Your body has adapted. So to stay in the same deficit that you were in before, now it takes more effort to do that. And most people don't realize that that's what's happening. They just think it stopped working for some reason. But here's where the real decision gets made. Because when that progress does slow down, most people start to drift. And it's not a big dramatic moment of quitting, it's more of a gradual slide. A few days off becomes a week, and a week becomes 2 weeks, and before long they're back at square one, in that same stop and start cycle that they've been in countless times before. Or they stay the course. They knew this phase was coming, they pushed through it, and they move into phase 4. So this is like the nightmare driving lesson that you have. You've been driving for months, you're nearly there, and then you have a session where you're stalling like it's week 1. Your instructor pulls the handbrake and it really knocks your confidence. You go home wondering if you can even drive, if you've actually been getting any better this whole time. So most people quit somewhere around this point, but the ones who don't are the people who see it through right to the end. And phase 4 is where you either follow through or you don't. And if you've got serious weight to lose, 15, 20, 25 plus kilos, this is also where the timeline gets real. My client David lost 17 kilos over about 10 months. Not because something wasn't working, but because that's kind of how long it takes. The more weight you have to lose, the longer it goes on for. And the harder it gets along the way because your body is adapting the whole time. So the calorie deficit that felt manageable in phase 2 now needs a lot more effort to maintain. But the people who can see it through, they finish it off. They get to where they truly wanted to be when they started out. And the people who drifted in phase 3, they never end up getting there. Or the timeline doubles or triples because they have to start again. And I'm sure everybody knows someone who started their driving lessons when they were 17 and then just never saw it through. Life happened and now they're older, they live somewhere different, they're an adult, they've got more responsibilities, and it's a lot harder to find the time to get those lessons done. But it didn't have to be like that if they'd just seen it through the first time round. So phase 4 is simple, but it's not easy. Follow through on all the hard work that you've put in, book the test, show up, finish what you started. So that's the honest timeline for losing weight. It's not 30 days. Anyone telling you that it is trying to sell you something. But go back to the driving. Before you even booked your first lesson, you knew it was going to take at least 4 months, probably more like 6. You didn't fight that, you just got on with it. It should be exactly the same here with weight loss. You've got the timeline now, you've got the right expectations. The only thing left is the how. And that's exactly what I cover in this video here. How to put together a shift-proof plan to actually lose the weight you want to lose. Go watch that one next. I'll see you there.